Hi everyone, welcome to my class today. We're going to sort of focus on some spinal extensions today in the class, sort of specifically in your lumbar region. So kind of expect to do a couple of balances and some just really nice movement for the spine. So we're going to begin in constructive rest pose. So if you just bring yourself down onto your mat, and we'll spend a few minutes here just to release the body. And if you can just bring your feet so that they're flat on the mat, maybe about hip distance apart, not too close to your bum and not too far away. And just try to release the pelvis. So just kind of check that your pelvis is evenly arranged on your mat, so you're not tilting over onto one side or the other side, and maybe just snuggling your shoulder blades down your back towards the back of your waist, just releasing your arms down, and really feel the length through the back of the neck. So maybe what you could do here is just lift the head slightly, draw the chin a little bit towards the chest, but really lengthen out through the back of your neck, and then just slowly release the head. Just begin to feel the weight and the heaviness of the head. And just begin to softly close your eyes. Just beginning to notice the breath coming in and out through the nostrils. So we're just going to start to breathe in, nice deep breaths in, and just releasing. Nice sort of long exhalation, so that you can start to let go. Long, loose sigh. So just finding your nostril breath. Begin to notice your breath in the belly. So just beginning to notice the expansion as you breathe in. And that release on your exhalation, just as the belly releases back towards the spine. Belly sort of feels hollow on that exhale. You're also sort of looking for that lateral breath. So you're noticing the rib cage expanding outwards to the sides. You're feeling the breath in your back ribs. So you have that feedback from the ground on your inhalation. So you can just feel the breath moving outwards and also into your mat. So the back ribs. If it helps, you can bring your hands just to rest onto the rib cage. Again, just so you have that feedback. So you can feel what's going on. So just allow the breath just to flow really easy. So be very, very gentle with the breath. Everything just begins to slow down. So just continuing with that breath, but beginning to notice that you have a good position with the feet. So the feet feel really broad, and it's almost like you're extending your toes away from your heels. Sort of feel the length through the foot, splaying out the toes, like fanning the toes from the little toe all the way to the big toes. Feel the contact with the balls of your feet. Sort of finally coming into a resting position with the foot, which is sort of noticing that point on your heel, and at your little toe mound and your big toe mound, so almost like a tripod. And you can just notice that within that tripod, through those points, that you've got a connection with the ground. So you're grounding down through those points, but your toes are relaxed. You feel like you're really wide in the foot. You've got a good base in your foot, and then begin to sort of feel that inner arch on your foot lift up slightly, sort of engaged, and all the way into the inner thighs. So a little bit of engagement there. Let that soften for a bit, but you have that sense of engagement through the soles of the feet and the legs, but at the same time you're relaxing in your hip crease. So just try for a moment just to soften into the hip crease. So maybe if you try to release the pelvis and the pelvic floor and the abdomen, try and just relax and soften in that space where your leg meets your torso. Might be gripping there. So be patient, just allow that to happen when you're ready, but just trying to, in your mind, trying to send vibes to that space to let go and sort of almost kind of dropping down, creating space there. And slowly, slowly the lumbar spine begins to lengthen and the body can just begin to release here. So the muscles can almost just release their grip on the bones as the bones drop down into the ground, if that makes sense. You can release through the heavier skeletal parts of the body, like the skull, the shoulder blades, and the pelvis. Hopefully I'm not going to have a coughing fit. So we're just going to let that dissolve now, and we're just going to slowly fold in the legs. Just hug the knees down, have a little roll around on your back, just to self-massage around the spine. And then when you're ready, we're just going to slowly roll up to the mat so you can hold behind the legs. Just bring yourself up. So we're going to come over onto your knees, just onto all fours to start. And just leave the toes on top for now. So we're going to just think about drawing the sitting bones back to the heels. So feel that length all the way through your lumbar spine. So you're keeping a slight arch in the lumbar spine as you draw back towards the heel. So you can just come back again. So if you can just imagine the space behind your navel, so sort of directly line your navel on your spine being the third vertebrae in the lumbar. So L3 being the apex of the lumbar spine. And just trying to imagine that you are separating the spine or the body into two parts from that space. So from the lumbar 3, L3, downwards in one direction and upwards towards the crown of the head in the opposite direction. So try it with the toes tucked under. Maybe breathe out. Coming towards the heels. And now this time, maybe just lift the knees off slightly. Again, try to keep that lumbar spine extended. Come back onto the knees. And again, just slightly higher off the knees this time. So again, you're just maintaining that length through the lumbar spine. You're aiming on coming up into a downward dog, but you're coming up in stages. So we're not coming up into full downward dog And the focus is to draw the hips back and the tail, the sit bones back, and keep them working back as you start to unfold the legs. So you're unfolding, but at the same time, it's almost like your focus is on the space at the back of your waist that we're talking about in your lumbar spine. So that space is extending. This time you're more like 75% in a downward dog. So you can sort of unfold just a little bit more. Again, just really take your time with this, just come down. Next time you're ready, you can come up more into a downward dog position, but feel like you can warm yourself up through the legs a little bit here, maybe bending one knee down, one heel down, and bending your opposite knee. So just sort of walking through the heels somewhat. You'll do that for a while, just to warm yourselves up. And then you can come high on your toes, really lifting your tail high to the ceiling. Exhale the heels, both at the same time, down towards the ground. Feel that connection between the heels and the sitting bones. Coming up again, high on the toes, really lift the tail. Exhale, releasing the heels. And from there, just going to walk the feet to the hands. So you're just going to start to come, imagine that you're coming into a squat, but you're not actually going to come all the way down. Again, you're really keeping that arch in your lumbar spine. And just coming all the way up to standing on your mat. Oh, just have a little roll, help the shoulders. So we're just going to step through with your left foot, not too far forwards, and the right foot is back, but again, it's not all the way back here, so that your heel is coming off your mat. It's more in a sort of good distance away from the front leg, so that you've got both feet flat and you feel stable. So try not to be like this, because then you're going to fall. You want the left foot more towards the left. Have both your feet facing the front. It's kind of the only thing I'm going to say about this pose. You don't want that foot facing out, because it's just turning your hip this way. So the idea is you have both hip bones facing towards the front, but the main focus of this pose is that you're kind of grounding through that back heel. So the back heel has a connection with the ground. You're just going to hold onto your hip creases here, so that sort of hinge point. And then the front leg, you can either bend it or keep it straight, and that's depending on you. If you feel tight in your hamstring, and then it has that sort of impact on the spine, then you might need to slowly bend the knee. So we're going to just start to come forward, sort of in like a halfway point. And when you come to that halfway point, just again, think about the length all the way through the spine, but focusing here on this lumbar area. So you're really, really extending down from lumbar 3 and up the spine through lumbar 3. So just imagine that whole area at the back of the waist expanding. It's a lot easier than just trying to imagine maybe the vertebrae themselves. So what we're going to do from here, we're just going to do like a spinal segmentation. So I'm just going to kind of give myself a little bit of feedback. I'm going to hold one hand on my belly, back of my hand on my pelvis. I'm going to start to draw my navel, my pubic bone towards my navel into my spine. Start to round the lower back. Again, working one vertebrae at a time until the chin comes all the way to the chest. And then unraveling, beginning at your tailbone. So the tailbone lengthens away first. All your lumbar vertebrae Again, making space, extending up through the thoracic spine, finally the neck, so cervical spine. So again, just everything is staying the same, apart from now you start to tuck under your tail. So really tuck the tail. Keep moving, slowly, slowly, slowly. Again, final position, chin to chest. Keep like that until you've extended all the way. So here we are now. Just going to release into like a twist. So this hand can slide down your leg. You can use your brick here. I'm trying at the moment to not use props as much as I can, because I think you do get a little bit dependent on them. But if you want to use a brick or a block, or indeed lean up against the wall, that's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to lengthen all the way through my tailbone to the crown of my head. I'm then going to start to turn to my right. Feel the twist initiated more in the, just at the beginning of the thoracic spine. So that point in T12, so where the thoracic spine meets the lumbar spine. So again, just that point there, that axis, sort of where we start the twist. And just gently lifting this arm if that's good for you. Then here at this point, you can maybe just release this arm. Try to keep these hips in line. See, I kind of just swung that right hip back. So just taking a moment there. Just a moment. So again, back of my waist is really expanding. And then that brings more space to the rest of my spine. Just going to bring myself back. I'm going to step back to the front. I'm going to just swap sides. I'm going to do that on the other side. So again, feel the weight in the back foot. Lengthen. We're just going to come to that halfway point. We're going to do a little bit of spinal segmentation. So slightly different from cat-cow, just in the respect that I'm leading the movement from the tail, almost kind of the head and the tail are clearly connected, but the tail leads the movement. So again, just really, really drawing the pubic bone towards the navel towards the spine. Just working one vertebrae at a time. Again, and extending, slowly coming into that twist. So again, just really work slowly here, taking your time. If you want to straighten the front leg, that's good. It's also good to keep the knee slightly bent if you need to. Important thing is just focusing on that space at the back of the waist. And if you wanted to, you could let go. You can also use your bricks. So you would be here for a moment. Spend as long as you want here. I'm going to come back. Just come back to standing. I'm going to come to a balance. So just coming into a standing pose, mountain pose, or Tadasana. Just feel very heavy through your lower body. So from your navel down, so again, from that lower part of the body, that separation at the back of the waist. Kind of feels so it's really grounded, and you almost feel like you're growing roots out of the soles of your feet and down. Upper body just feels really light and easy, and you can really lengthen, open the chest. So we're going to come into Vrksasana tree pose. So you're going to, I'm going to do it on my left knee is going to bend, so I'll do like the mirror. Just try to make space in this hip so you're not sinking into the hip. You can bring your foot wherever you choose. So you can also have your foot lower down on the leg. On the calf, I'm going to put my leg up here. Goes up here quite nicely. Just going to slowly bring the arms out. So just come back to that space at the back of the waist again and just really feel that you're extending in that space. And then just notice how that corresponds up the spine. Really keep the breath nice and easy. Lateral breath. So from here, so you can spend as long as you want in this pose. We are going to move from this pose into another pose. So you're welcome to watch me and have a rest. I'm just going to come straight into it. So I'm going to bring this leg in just for a moment, just to release through the hip flexors. So the hip crease. And I'm just going to take this leg out to the side. Just going to hold it like that for a minute. And also I could let go. So you could do this as well. You could also use a wall for this hand. Again, I'm basing the class on the fact that we're going to work without props. So if you wobble like that, it doesn't matter. It's all good. So from here, I'm going to grab my foot or big toe yoga grip. And you can just stay here again like this. Again, I'm going to start to feel this extension, then just start to extend down the leg into Hasta Padangusthasana. Now with this pose, you are welcome to use a strap. I'm just going to show you how you can use a strap. I know I just said something about props, but I do feel that this pose is doable with a strap. Very, very doable. The important thing is just how you execute it. So the strap goes around the ball of the foot, and the important thing is to hold the strap at your foot. So you're going to bring this leg up. See how I did it before? I was like this. So you're going to hold this strap, then start to extend the leg. So if you need more space, so if you have your knee bent here, you might want to just lengthen out your strap. You can do this, coming out. This would be better rather than this, having a long strap and a bent arm like this. Try not to do that. Try and keep your arms straight and your hand near your foot. Okay, so that's the little tip just for those of you who might need the strap. So I'm just going to come back to standing and breathe. And just kind of re-establish that evenness through the feet. Let's take that onto the other side. So coming back to tree, bringing the sole of this foot onto the inner thigh or your calf. Okay, just coming back. Just spend a few breaths here. And again, it's okay if you feel like you want to move a bit in the tree. Just imagine that these arms are branches, and this is going to make this tree a bit more tricky for your balance. So therefore you have to work a little bit harder to maintain this. Again, use the wall in this hand if you need to. So this is where we're just going to come here, suck the thigh in towards you. And then I'm just going to be here. So just hold the leg here just for a moment without using your hand. So you're really engaging through your hip flexors here, just working in that space, which will help you in the next pose. If you've strengthened here slightly. So again, use your strap, hold near your foot if you need to. I'm going to try not to use the strap. And just feel again. So the focus is you're extending through the lumbar spine. And that extension just allows the leg to extend. Oops. So you'll hold that for a few breaths. My trousers. Coming back, just release back to standing into Tadasana. Again, just allow that weight just to drop down, rooting down through the feet. Nice, easy breaths, in and out through the nostrils. This takes us to another balance. So, Ardha Chandra. So let's just come to standing. Again, back into that position where you were coming into a twist. And you could start the pose by slightly bending the knee, coming off the back foot and just getting used to the weight being on the foot. But the focus I want to be is on sort of arm fold. So just let this arm release. Start to sort of unfold the legs. So you start to extend. You're extending through the heels, both heels extending. So again, with this pose, you can use a brick. You can use a brick in your left hand. That's perfectly fine. And especially if you're a beginner, you definitely need a brick or a block, or you can use the wall. You can just come straight up against the wall. In fact, I can show you. You can come straight up against the wall like this. I wasn't going to teach it like this, but if you're a beginner, I just think it's more doable and then you can get the feel of the pose. So like that. I'm going to come back here. The magic doors have opened. You can see this house isn't really set up for yoga. So just slowly start to bring the weight into the standing heel. You can keep your gaze down towards the ground if that's going to keep you more balanced. And then you start to unfold the shoulder girdle. Lifting up this leg. Okay, just coming back to standing. Always just have a mini break in between each side, again, just to re-establish the evenness of the feet. Just noticing how you feel after each side. Just noticing the energy. Just noticing how your body's assimilated that work. We're going to just bring the left foot back. Start to get used to being on your standing leg. So again, this standing leg feels heavy. It's almost kind of make the leg feel heavy, bend the knee. And it might be the case that you have to keep your knee bent the whole time through this pose. Bring your other hand around your lower back, onto your hip. Just start the pose by feeling that both of your sides of your torso are lengthening. Again, back of the waist, broad. Top leg lifting up. And both heels extending. So top heel's extending away from the tailbone and the bottom heel's extending away from the sit bones. Sorry, the sit bones is what I meant to say. And then you can lift up your arm into Ardha Chandra, half moon pose if you want. It isn't necessary to lift the arm, it just helps to open out the chest. So coming out, just bend the knee, just back to standing. Again, just spend a few moments here. We're just going to come into a forward bend, Uttanasana, bend the knees, just fold forwards. Again, just bringing, you can bend the knees, just let the spine lengthen. Lengthening all the way down. Just put my notes. So from here, bend the knees, just going to come down to a squat. And we're going to actually just end up on our mats. Oh, just going to do some nice things now. So we're going to roll down your mat. And just for a moment, just coil the spine. So draw the knees down onto the chest. Breathe out. Create a little bit of space in the abdomen. Slowly lift the nose towards the knees. And release. You can try and do that a couple of times. So breathe out, draw the thighs down. And at the end of your exhalation, chin to chest and slowly draw the nose towards the knees. And release. So from here, we're going to do a twist. So we're going to roll all the way onto your right side. And so I'm able just to coil myself completely up. Maybe I've got the benefit of long arms, I'm not sure. So it might not be that you can grab the feet, and that's fine. As long as you keep quite tight, quite small, sort of knees slightly towards your chest. I'm gonna grab my toes. And so this is how we're gonna come into the twist. We're gonna start here, and then we're gonna breathe out, and we're gonna start to open out slowly through your spine. So you're going to feel the opening or the initiated movement of that sort of articulation of your spine. And that will mainly occur from lower down in the spine. So again, that space in between the lumbar and the thoracic spine, so about T12. Start to get a little bit of a twist, and it moves more up the spine like a corkscrew. So the lumbar spine doesn't like twisting, really. It does twist slightly, but it's not designed to twist in this way. So you're moving up the spine and taking your time to do that whilst keeping the lumbar spine long. So that part of your spine is really extended, and that will enable you just to release more maybe into this twist. And you can turn your head and look past your fingertips. Once you get comfortable, you're just going to rest there. Doesn't matter if the shoulder's away from the floor. Again, doesn't matter if you can't grab the feet. You can also use a brick underneath your legs if you need to, or a bolster. If you feel almost too constricted, you have to use these props. So you can place props underneath the legs, in between the knees as well. If this leg, top leg is kind of hovering, pop a cushion in between the knees. Again, that's good. So you're going to stay there for a couple more breaths, really just releasing into that twist. And then just to come out, we'll bring the top leg on its own. So top leg comes, bottom leg comes. Woo, slowly up. You're going to roll all the way onto your other side. So we're going to repeat the twist in the same way. So you have to roll all the way over onto your side. And you're going to start again if you need to. You can hold the feet. You don't have to hold the feet. So just, you're making this pose work for you. It doesn't matter what the next person looks like or what I look like. So again, just breathe out on the twist to initiate that twist. Feel the twist occurring down in the lower part of your spine, and it will work its way up the spine. You can also feel that initiation of the twist in your abdomen. So you're using your abdominal muscles to twist. Feel that engagement there. And you can, again, once you feel a bit more settled in your twist, you can turn your head and you can look that way. And once you're there, you can close your eyes and relax. Use any props that you need. Nice, relax, easy breaths. So again, you can spend as long as you want here. We're going to come back, turn your head slowly back, just lifting top leg, and the bottom leg is going to follow. Again, just rearrange yourself on your mat. I'm completely away from my mat. Just hug the knees down. And maybe just now, just sort of coming into a happy baby pose, Sanandasana. So if you separate the knees, just let the knees be really wide and your lower back really broad. And then you can place the hands, or maybe even your forearms actually, under your leg, sorry, on your thighs, push down. So this might be enough for you. Or you can bring the soles of the feet towards the ceiling in your Anandasana. So here as well, you can hold the feet. So you can draw down through the toe joint, or you can hold on the feet. So what I want you to focus on here is try not to peel your lower back away from the mat, your tailbone away from your mat. You want to feel that you're really, really lengthening all the way through to the tailbone, and you can maintain that lumbar curve so that your whole of your lumbar spine is an extension. So again, that's where the focus is of the pose. You're drawing the tailbone, so the coccyx, towards the ground. And you can take some breaths again here. Just kind of start to feel that broadness through the lower back and that decompression occurring in your lower back. And then finally, we're just going to come into Baddha Konasana. So you can bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees just open, arms just falling out to the sides. And take some nice breaths here. Trying to release through the groins. Again here, if you wanted to, you could place some cushions underneath your legs, either leg, or bricks, to make it a little bit more restorative. I quite like that feeling of that passive stretch. I'm not against passive stretching. I think it definitely has value, and it's always worked for me, and I'm super inflexible. So I think if you incorporate passive stretching, then within the realm of the other activities that you're doing, if you're also performing isometric stretches and strengthening exercises, I think there is room for passive stretching. I really, really do. And it feels just really nice just to release, and over time, being in this pose, or a pose where you're just allowing gravity to allow the body to release and to lengthen. It's just super relaxing and really, really feels nice. So I could just stay here all day. You might feel that you want to come into Shavasana now, or constructive rest. I'm just going to bring the soles of the feet onto the mat, and I'm just going to spend a few more breaths here just to wrap up this session. And just release the pelvis, shoulder blades, just releasing any tension you might be holding around the jaw, softening the tongue, teeth, and really softening your eyes in the eye socket so the eyes feel heavy. And releasing your eyes heavily into the skull, but just really soften them. Sometimes we really hold so much tension into the eyes. So just really let them go, soften your eyes and smooth out your brow. And slightly smile. It's just a very natural smile. And I really find that this just lifts and releases any residual tension that you might be holding. So if you wanted to stay here, please do. I'm going to come up and say goodbye. Just going to come to a seated position just to complete the class. I always just spend like a few breaths just to notice how I feel and notice how my body has absorbed the practice. Taking a breath in, reaching all the way up, bring the palms together. Exhale. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you next time.